This car's got something really weird wrong with it, so join us on a voyage of discovery as we explain what's going on here. So hi everyone, it's Jay from KDS, and this Land Rover Discovery came to us a little while ago. Unfortunately, it had been splattered with some sort of marine-based solvent kind of paint or material. And what's happened, I don't know if you can see, I'm going to zoom right in now. There we go. Even though we polished it, you can see the lacquer itself has got these dimples that have occurred where the splatters were. No, I didn't mean dimples, I meant high spots, but the wrong word just came to me. All the same, look how well Mr. Harris covers for my mistake throughout the rest of the video. And what we've done is we polished the whole bonnet sort of to see if that would go away, and it didn't. And as you can see now, there's more going on, and Mr. Harris is going to explain what that is and why.
Hi. So as Jay said, there's dimples. Now a dimple, we can think of a indentation or a raised portion. This is a really rare case, and we was just discussing with Jay earlier. This is probably a year and a half, 2 years ago. It's probably the last time we saw a defect like this. And remember, we're doing around 200 cars a year. So it could be 200 to 300 cars ago is the last time we saw this issue. So I said, let's video it because the opportunity's there. It's a rare occasion. So all it is just going to be a very quick, brief overview of what I've done and why, to give you a sort of day-to-day of what we do. And sometimes it's not just standard polishing. So Jay said, this has been polished, and there was a fallout on there, and there was like a white paint. That's been clayed off and polished, and it's gone. So why has it got a raised dimple? When Jay says dimple, it's actually not a dimple in your cheeks inwards, it's actually a high spot. That high spot is where the solvent paint that's fell on the surface and has sat there for a time, so it's dwelled, and it's warmed up, it's actually swelled up the lacquer by a few microns. So there's little raised spots. So it doesn't matter how much polishing you do with a polishing pad, it's just going to polish over those raised spots. So a bit like having a shave really. A sharp edge cuts the hair away, but not your skin. So what you're trying to do is take them high spots away. So of course, standard methods would be wet sanding. And traditionally, you could use wet sanding blocks. We've got a semi-flexible, and then we've got a very rigid, very firm block. And we just use this sort of traditional 1500, 2000 grit, and you can work up the grades if you chose. And you can actually see I have actually used that a little bit here as a test on the surface. And what that does, it's shaving across the tops. But what that would do by using this, it would interfere with the orange peel look too much, this sort of natural wave that's in clear coat. And I was thinking about it earlier when I'd done this little test patch, thinking, well, I can make this top of this bonnet look absolutely stunning, but it's not in keeping with the rest of the car. And it would actually take off more clear coat than necessary, and it's not keeping it to original. And the idea is we're just trying to remove these dots. So I switched from hand sanding to a DA sander. So an air-driven DA sander, 5mm orbit. I can get in close if you want, it says 5mm there. So in this case, it's called a random orbital sander. The actual part number is an RO part number, not a dual action. So in the body shop trade, a dual action machine is called a random orbital sander. That would be a completely different subject. So what I've done, I'll briefly, very quickly go over about conformity and hardnesses of blocks. If I put sandpaper on this block, what's going to happen is it's a tight, hard surface. Any high spots are going to get sanded down flat, but also the wave in the orange peel. If we was to use this block, and it's got a bit of give in there, any high spots, you soften the high spots without fully removing them. And as I just said, I don't want to fully remove the orange peel. Unfortunately, whatever I use is going to slightly improve it, but I'm trying to keep that original orange peel but remove the defects, which I've actually achieved. So what I've done is sanded from this end to here, polished to this mark there to show you an end result, a sanded area and a before area. And I'll explain what I've used. What I've done, I've used 1500 grit paper, but that's thin paper. On the back of a sander with a hard backing, it's going to shave it flat. This is what Rolls-Royce, Aston Martin, many other manufacturers use. So what I've used is the largest, thickest interface pad I could find to give me that wave. So it actually follows. But there's enough cut with the 1500 to remove the defect without actually interfering too much with the clear coat sort of wave, the orange peel. Then all of this is just refining. So what I've done is gone to 2000 grit, 3000 grit and 4000 grit. Reason why I've stepped up, it makes the polishing very, very quick and easy. It's a one step, which was where it brings me onto the Lake Country one step microfibre cutting pad. So what I did a little test, because this is our sort of go-to pad, the HDO on heavy swells. So what I found was with this HDO, it was hitting all the swells in one pass, or sort of sanding marks. It's probably too aggressive, and it was over-peating the paint and clogging. Where this is actually a unique thing that Lake Country have done, this one-step pad. You can see it's stayed fluffy. Basically, this perfectly suits this scenario. This has been the perfect pad for this situation. So now we have a reason for this pad, and I'd say this is the perfect pad on the rest of this car. And Jay, I think, has actually polished a little area on this car, and it's funny, he's been washing a car today, agreed with me that I didn't know this, was using this pad down the side of the vehicle where it hasn't got the fallout to remove the swells. So traditionally, I'll go for it again, we'd always stick with the HDO, the sort of slightly heavier duty, stronger cut microfibre pad, because it's got bad swells. But that's because the paint might be quite tough. This has got very soft paint, it's a very new car, very light swells. This worked. Caveat there, if I didn't sand with 4000 grit or 3000 grit and just say went 15 and 2, the sanding marks left behind would be quite aggressive. And I have to go to this. It's knowledge of your sanding technique, of having the refinement stage, and spending long enough in a refinement means you have less sanding, which is the end result. And that's what we got here, and you can clearly see when we go along this line here that we've actually got the dimples in the paint, as Jay calls them, the raised spots, which are actually solvent, and the chemicals have swollen the clear coat where the dots have sat there. So my advice with any fallout on your car, because tree sap, even tree resin, can do the same on unprotected car. This will have G-Technic coatings afterwards, which will prevent this problem. I think Jay can correct me. I think the dealer, what did you say, a dealer?
No, it did. It had a dealership applied protection package, which was not what we would call a real nano coating or ceramic coating package, and it's failed completely to do anything about this.
Could have been
fallout.
sold as though the ultimate protection, so it's resulted in not protecting the car. So we will remove it, protect it with G-Technic, and we won't have this issue again. Just briefly, or actually a while ago, so when I say about cleaning cars, if your car is protected with a quality nano coating brand, multi-layer product like G-Technic, Crystal Serum, Exo, there's many others on the market, is it necessary to wash it straight off? As a protection, as an extra barrier. I'm always going to say, if you see fallout go on your car, get it off as quick as you can. Unprotected paint, if this was removed as quick as it could, it probably wouldn't be in this problem now. The swelling is the dwelling and the heat. Now, I could have, it just shows you it's a small, brief bit of sanding. We have a lot more sanding blocks and discs, which I could probably make videos in the future. I could have gone 1500, 2000, 2.5, 3000 by hand, and that would have made it flat. That's our traditional way of making paint absolutely flat. I could have gone 15 to 2.5, sorry, 3, 4, and even 6. We'll try that, and there's even 8,000, and it would have made my polishing easier. The fact that stopping at 4,000 with the right methods, at the right speed, and I'll say it's not complex to me, but a combination of, do we have just plain water? Do we have water with soap in it? What type of soap? How much soap? Even the bucket here, which has got soap in it, which I'm dipping the machine, hence why it's an air-driven machine. I can dip it in the water with that on there. It means then I can dip it completely in, spin it. It completely cleans that surface. I then clean the surface there. That massively reduces the contamination, the cross-contamination, and what we call pigtails, the scoring from your sanding. Sandpaper does not score the paint, contamination does. If you're clean, neat and tidy, it will massively help, and don't rush it. So hopefully that's been helpful. It was a random video, we're just going to do one video on this car, it was just because it's a unique situation, but I'm trying to help. So don't forget to like, subscribe and smash that bell. Kelly Harris from KDS Keltec, thank you for watching.